Welcome everyone. Sorry to keep you waiting. Welcome to the webinar on a career in design. Today we have a very good speaker from the industry. He is our alumnus from the batch of 2014. He is a EEE graduate and has done a higher study in design. Adrian Mendonca is an IITian, also an EEE graduate from the batch of 2014. He's finished his master's in visual design and is currently working in TCS Mumbai. I am very happy to welcome Adrian and a warm welcome to all the participants. Over to you, Adrian.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So I'll share my screen. All right. Good morning. A warm welcome to everyone joining for this webinar. I hope everyone is doing fine. Before I begin, I would like to thank SJEC, especially Deepesh sir and Satyendra sir, and everyone involved in making this session happen. I would like everyone to go on mute, and if you have any questions, you may note down the slide number and post the question in the comment section at the end of the session. Yeah, not wasting any time, let us begin a career in design. Firstly, a brief introduction about me. I'm Adrian. I did all of my schooling in Bangalore. Like most of us here, I'm also an engineer. I graduated in the year 2014 from the Department of Electrical and Electronics, St. Joseph's, Warmanger. After which I spent a couple of years freelancing, preparing for my master's in design, made it to my dream college and graduated from the Department of Design, IIT Hyderabad in the year 2018, sorry. At IIT Hyderabad, I've held various positions of responsibility associated with design. Most importantly, I was the design head for the second edition of TEDx IIT Hyderabad. Currently, I'm working at TCS as a UX designer. I was campus placed and will be completing 2 years this month. Moving ahead. In today's webinar session, I will be giving you all a taste of what design is all about. Since most of us here are new to the topic, I'll be keeping things as simple as possible and will not use any jargons. I will also keep the pace a little low. Please bear with me. We begin with art and design, then move on to the process, good and bad, roles, exams, and institutes. Art and design. Design is commonly misunderstood for us, art, and most of us also call art as design. But what exactly is design? Here's the thing. Design involves a creative thinking approach to solving problems. I'll repeat that again. Design involves a creative thinking approach to solving problems. To make things a little clear, the next few slides shall aid us better to understand design. Let's demystify. I'm going to show 2 images on each slide. You will need to pick one of the images which you think is an outcome of design process. You will need to pick one of the images which you think is an outcome of design process. So there'll be two images, A or B. I'll give you 10 seconds to choose your option. You can type your responses in the chat box. First image, you have 10 seconds. And done. Are you curious? I just want to know, like, because I'm very curious. So what we have under A is a painting. And we have under B is a logo. Painting is done by an author, creator, okay, to express his thoughts, and it's appreciated for its beauty or emotional power. It is also practiced as a therapy. Under B, a logo represents something much bigger, a brand, a service, or an organization. A logo is designed keeping the values of the logo is of the brand by the name Timberland. Breaking the name down into two parts, have timber, which stands for wood, and land. So you can clearly see in the logo, there's a T, which stands for timber, and there's land. We can clearly see the visual representation of timber, land in the logo. So moving on to the next. You have 10 seconds to choose your option. And done. So under A, we have an icon. And under B, we again have a painting. Both represent a wave. The wave icon is the Microsoft Edge browser icon, is the new icon of Microsoft Edge browser. So why a wave? The wave here refers to surfing the web, and the shape of the icon is of an E. Now, if you guys remember, Microsoft has always had the E icon for Internet Explorer, hence the E. Under B, we have a famous painting by Japanese artist Hokusai. It's also called the wave. Moving on to the next one. You have 10 seconds. Pick your options. And done. Okay. So the image under A is a sculpture, and on the right is of a bread toaster. A sculpture is used to improve the aesthetics and experience of a space. You place it in like in your homes or in parks or in places, tourist places. It only serves as a visual treat, while the exterior of a toaster is designed. Now, the exterior of a toaster is designed keeping in mind the function of the product. And here, the form follows the function. So first thing is you understand the function of that product. And with respect to that, you design the exterior of the product. Moving on. You have 10 seconds. And done. Okay. So under A, we have some famous brand identities. And on the right, we have an example for calligraphy. So when I say Pepsi and Coca-Cola, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Yeah. Is it the logo or is it the taste? I'll leave it for you. I'll leave it to individuals. All right. Uh, Calligraphy is a writing technique used to create artistic lettering. We'll move to the next one. You have 10 seconds. And done. So the car under A is one of the world's fastest road legal production cars. So at top speeds, at over 400 kilometers per hour, a regular four-wheeler like your Maruti or your any normal car on the road will just take off, or it will topple, or probably the whole structure of it won't be together. It won't stay on the road. So the exterior for a car like this is designed keeping in mind the downforce it has to create. It has to create in order to keep it glued to the road. While on the other hand, we have the tumbler, which was created just for the movies. It's impractical. There are many reasons for it. I wouldn't be discussing in specific here. So now that we have some idea about what is art and what is design, let's proceed to understanding the design thinking process. Okay, the design thinking process is extremely useful in tackling complex problems. I'll repeat that again. The design thinking process is extremely useful in tackling complex problems that are ill-defined. So, how do we achieve this? So, the design thinking process is broken down into 5 stages, starting with empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. It's an iterative process. As you can see the arrows, you start with define and you go ahead, and there's every chance that you can even come back. In prototype stage, you are coming back to ideate stage, or from testing you can actually come back again to define stage. So it's a very iterative process. Depending on the context, you may club them or further break it down. So for the presentation purpose, I have clubbed these empathize and design. So where do we start with in empathize and design? The most ignored person in the room. Any guesses? Can you guess who is the most ignored person in the room? All right, I'm getting some answers. Good. So you might have probably guessed it by now. The user. Most times, products are developed not keeping in mind who the end user is. We do everything we possibly can from technical and marketing point of views. But guess what? We end up with a product that's not serving any purpose. We need to understand the human needs involved. We need to understand the human needs involved. So this is done by reframing the problem in human-centric ways. So how do we begin with? We ask a few important questions, right? Most times products are developed not keeping in mind who the end user is. So we define who the user is going to be. Say it could be anyone in the age group of 20 to 45 or somebody with some disability. Then we interview the user or the sample user group. The questions, so you have already finished with the who, your user group, you decide who it's going to be. And then you go ahead and you ask them questions around what does the user do? When does the user do it? Where does he do it? And why does he do it? Now you'll get answers to these, all right? And you'll have to have a huge sample group. It's not just one user that you're going to interview for your product. You'll have to have a big sample group, large enough, say considering minimum of 25 at least. Once we have these answers, we move on to creating a persona. I'll give you a few seconds. You can just have a look at it, what's on display. So what is a persona? Well, a persona are actually fictional characters which you create based upon your research and findings from the previous stage. So whatever findings and research you got from your previous Empathise stage where you asked all those questions, you put it all together and you create a persona. We have an example here. This is by Interaction Design Foundation. Looking at it a little closely, the persona has three things to it. The story which defines the main character, what his attitudes, motivations, goals, and pain points are. Then the scenario has when, where, and how the story takes place. And the goal defines what the character wants to fulfill. The goal here is also the motivation for any action the character is going to do. So it kind of gives you the problem at hand. Yeah. Overall, the persona will help you define a problem better. It also gives you insights about your user. So this will kind of end your empathize and define stage. Next, we move on to ideate. So ideate is the third stage of the design thinking process. We have some understanding of our user and their needs, and we've analyzed and synthesized our observations. So here we are ready to start generating ideas, basically brainstorm. Say you are planning to create a new set of icons. Then we would be exploring thumbnail illustrations. Not one, not two, at least 100 of them. Similarly, in product design, or if it's some kind of a product, then form explorations. And if it's animation design, you start with characters, and even before that, there's a story. But once you have the story, you start with the characters. For automobiles, it's exploration of the form. Furniture. And yeah, not to forget the digital space, sorry. So these are wireframe explorations. See, it's not that always you need to be good at drawing for design. So whatever we had till now, those fields had some kind of a drawing skill requirement, but in this case, you don't require any drawing skills. When you're doing wireframing, you just have the template, and within which you just create scribbles as to what the flow of your app is going to be. So this is also a stage where 99% of the rejections happen in design, because you have so many explorations and you are trying to nail down to one of the best ones. So once the ideate state is over, we come to prototype. In prototype, we produce a number of inexpensive scaled down versions of the product or specific features found within the product. So they can investigate at any time the problem solutions generated in the previous stage. A few examples: prototype of a bicycle made from cardboard, exterior design from clay, keyframe animations in case of animation design, chair prototype in case of a furniture design. And yeah, in digital space, you come up with visual design explorations. So that ends prototyping, and then you come to testing. Now, this is the final stage of the 5-stage model. Testing is done to understand the behavior of the user around the product, the conditions of use, how people think and feel about a product. This is also important because at this stage also there are chances of your product failing, and then you'll have to go back all the way to define stage. So, and this also brings the end to the testing process. I mean the design process. Moving on. Why should we follow this process? Okay. So it's not always that we have the best of products out there. With good comes bad products also. Let's take an example. Example 1. So what do you think this is? Say you just enter a store now and this product is placed in front of you. Would you be able to guess what exactly this product is, or what does it do? To me, it looks more like a spaceship. What it actually is it is a lemon squeezer. So it is a Stark lemon squeezer. Now, Stark designed it not keeping in mind the design process. What he was doing was he was just sitting in a store, and he was thinking about squids and octopuses, and just randomly this thought came to him that he will take the squid and make a lemon squeezer out of it. So that's how this came into being. So is it a good product or is it a bad product? It's a bad product. Why is it a bad product? So if you can see, the legs of each of these of the lemon squeezer are thin, and it's made of metal. And when it's so thin and the contact point with the surface is so less, usually when you're squeezing a lemon, you're going to apply force. It'll just skid. It won't stay stable on the surface. Also, there's every possibility your hands are going to be wet. So when you hold each of these legs and you're trying to squeeze, you wouldn't be able to get a good grip. So these are the main reasons why this product actually failed. It's one of the most famous bad design failed products example. And on the right, we have our kitchen lemon squeezer, which does well. All you have to do is just place the lemon in between and squeeze. Next example. So this is with respect to signages. So which arrow is actually mapped with rooms 101 and 113? Is it the one on the right or is it the one below? Yeah. So these situations are tragic. Say in case of a fire accident, or you need to take it's a medical emergency, and you come across a signboard like this. Yeah, you're not able to go anywhere, whether it's room 101, 113, or 114, 128. You end up time just judging which one is the actual one. Now moving on, this is a better way to actually do it. You see, what was happening in the previous example, the under A, there's a white line which is dividing in the center. So if that wasn't there, then probably the grouping would have happened like in example B. You see rooms 40 to 45 are grouped to arrow 1, and rooms 46 to 49 are grouped to arrow 2. All right. Moving on, next example. So this is with respect to card design. I'm not sure how many of you are actually aware of this incident that happened in 2015. So Harvey, he was presenting the Miss Universe event, and he announced Miss Colombia as the winner of Miss Universe. I know it's a blunder, like from whoever has designed this, it's a major blunder. And he ended up apologizing on stage. But what exactly happened? So I don't know if you guys are able to identify what the mistake was. So you can see it's clearly written Miss Universe 2015 and Philippines. So when you are designing a card, you need to think about, also need to think about how the user is going to hold this card. Left hand, right hand. And if he's going to hold it with his right hand, say how is, from which end of the card is he going to hold it? What happened with Harvey was he placed his thumb right on top of Miss Philippines, Miss Universe Philippines, and that's how that part of the card was hidden to him. A better way to do it, yeah, or line them up, simple. Next example, door handles. This is with respect to the alignment of door handles and the labels. How many of us here actually pay attention to the push and pull labels on a door handle? While at the ATM or at the supermarket, we just tend to ignore it. It's common practice because of how often we use doors. Even then, sometimes we end up pulling doors when they are meant to be pushed. It's not your mistake. Our mental model around horizontal placement of door handles leads us to pushing it. Here, they have placed it vertically. So, you see, let me show you an example. Even in a cart, for example, yeah, the horizontal placement of the handlebar aids to us pushing the cart. What if it was vertical? Wouldn't it be very inconvenient? So how do you solve these problems? In this case, what you can just do is, like, in place of push, they wanted to have a uniform design. So that is why they thought even for push and for pull, we'll have the same handles. But yeah, it backfires. People end up pushing it or pulling it. So what you do is you just place a metal sheet. Okay. Now, human tendency when there is no handle is to just push the door. Simple. Next one. So every detail matters in design. Now, 1 in 12 men and 1 in 200 women in the world are colorblind. This is what a typical traffic light system looks like. Yeah. To a person who has no visual impairments. All good, right? This is what it looks like to a person having protanopia. Now, close to 8% of the world's population has this issue. People with this, now, we just can't afford this, all right? It's only after a blunder that we go back and try to understand what went wrong and end up feeling guilty. We can do better, can't we? Probably the colors could have been a little different. So, good design is intuitive. What does this mean? Meaning, When a user sees it, they know exactly what to do. Intuitive design is invisible. It means users can focus on a task at hand without even stopping for a second. It directs people's attention to tasks that are important. So that ends good and bad design. And now I'll just run you guys through some of the roles that are present in this field. You can choose your career path, whether you want to be a professional or a freelancer. Now, as a professional, you'll work in an industry, you'll work under somebody. And as a freelancer, you start on your own. And yeah, it takes a little while, but eventually you end up becoming the brand in freelancer. The most trending stream right now in design is user experience design. It's an umbrella which covers every other field of design. I've listed down a few over here. You can have a look at them. So for somebody who wants to start in any of these fields, you can straight away start. It's not necessary that you have to have some kind of a qualification, but you need to have some knowledge about design. And also, if you want to take the professional, I mean, through as a career, like through examinations, then we have design tests. And in India, there are two major examinations: SEED and NID. Now, SEED is conducted by ID Bombay. It has approximately 180 seats across different IITs. In total, actually 5 IITs. And admission, it doesn't guarantee you admission, all right? These both the examinations, SEED and NID, don't guarantee you admissions. You have to clear them and then move on to, if you're shortlisted, you will be called for an interview and also a test at the institute level. So you crack both of them and then there'll be a final shortlisting. In NID, there are more seats, but the number of campuses are relatively less. So these are the institutes the premier institutes in India that offer a degree in design. CPDM is a Center for Product Design and Manufacturing. It's at IISc, and the others are all design departments: IDC, IT Bombay, Department of Design. What NID makes up for in the less number of campuses is by offering more number of courses. So before I end this session, there would be people who are interested in reading books. Yeah. So the design of everyday things is one book that is suggested to any person who is starting off in design. You can even get an audiobook on Prime. Also, anyone into TV series can look up for this show. I'll just play a video. Is the audio? Are you guys able to hear the video? If somebody can comment in the comment section. Okay. So I just unmute my system.
Hello, Adrian. We
Yeah.
can't.
Yes. audible? Okay, just give me a minute.
No, it's not audible. Yes, yes.
So this is actually free. Just give me a moment. Yeah, this is free on YouTube. You can watch the entire series on YouTube. Yeah, before I move on to answering any questions related to the presentation, I'll share a feedback form. I'd like you guys to fill it out for me. Yeah. If you guys can fill up this form, I'll give you 10 seconds, not 10 seconds, I'll give you half a minute, and then I'll proceed to answering any questions or queries that you guys have with respect to the presentation. You can actually post your questions and queries now. Any doubts? It's asking for permission. Okay. Yeah, just give me a moment.
Adrian, this is Ragesh here.
Okay.
You can go to that settings. That gear is there. No, you can go there and choose. Close this pop-up and
Okay. Settings and
settings. See here, restrict to IIT. That you can choose.
oh, all right. Yeah. Yeah. Is it working now? If I can get one response, if it's working. Ah, okay. All right. Yeah, I've sent it again. Okay, so I'll take questions. Shreya here has asked, what are the booming courses in design now? So, yeah, the most common one that you'll hear about is user experience design. But then when it comes to specialization, it depends. It depends upon how skilled you are. Industries will look at your portfolio, the kind of work that you do, and based upon that, uh, it depends. Even if you're a freelancer, it depends upon how skilled you are individually. But then, yeah, when it comes to placement, like all of these institutes, they get close to 100% placements, and all the packages are good. So from that point of view, you don't need to worry. You just have to be good from your side, as good as possible. Any other questions? Okay, very commonly asked question. Who is this? Faith Felix. So, what is the difference between UI and UX designer? So UX design is not restricting yourself to one specific stream. You will find the prominence of UX design in every field. So UX design has this process that I talked about in this presentation. It has this process. Whereas UI design is like, you could say, the end product. At the end, UI designers come in. Say after the prototype, there was in the prototype stage, and after the prototype stage, somewhere there, the UI designers come in and they design the final look and feel of the product. They are not the ones who do the user research and the defining the problem part. That is done by the UX designers. But a lot of times in industry, you will see that people will club these terms UI, UX, but they are not the same. They are two different things. Now, what is the criteria to write C? Okay, so until last year, it required a minimum of a 4-year UG degree. You could be an engineer, you could be an architect, and you could be also somebody from a fine art background, BFA, which is a 4-year course. But changed it, so it is 12 plus 3 degree with a little bit of work experience. 1 year work experience is also enough for you to actually qualify for or be eligible for writing this SEED exam. It's the same with the NIDA as well. That question was from Nikita Nagwan. Okay, next question is from Vikas. Is it important to have a qualification for a company, or a portfolio is good enough? Yeah, see, portfolio is good enough, I would say, but you need to make sure that it is as good as possible. Yeah, because uh, see, a lot of time we don't come from that design background, right? We are engineers, most of us, and we don't have a portfolio like a designer's portfolio. And if you're going to apply for a designer's job, they would be requiring you to have a designer's portfolio, uh, and they will have applicants from design as well as from engineering. So if a designer's portfolio is better than an engineer's portfolio, then obviously he will get it. Or if you have a better portfolio than a designer, then you can also get in. So it's a 50-50. But yeah, but it's always good to have a degree also. That's my personal opinion. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, I think that is about it. I don't think anyone else will be responding. What's a good portfolio in your opinion? Yeah, this is from Sam Martin. So, an ideal portfolio would have the complete process, the complete user journey from where you start and what your end product is. And see, what they are going to look at is what problem are you going to solve, uh, how well you have defined this problem, and how well are you going to solve this problem. So when it comes to industries, this is what matters. So your good portfolio should have all of it. And one or two projects are good enough if they have the complete process. But and you can always show your skills over the other fields of design as well. It's not like I am a graphic designer and I'll do only graphic work. I can also show them UI work as well. Shay and H. Which software tools are used in your workspace? So commonly used software tools are Adobe PC Suite. You can, I I recommend if you're a UI designer, then probably you can have a look at Adobe XD. XD standing for Experience Design, or you can also do it on Illustrator. If you're somebody who's into filmmaking, then there is Adobe After Effects. Somebody into photography has Adobe uh, Photoshop. Yeah, and there are other tools as well. Not restricting yourself just to PC Suite. There's actual rapid prototyping with which you can do wireframe prototypes. That is again with respect to UI design, but in product design, there are tools like Rhino. I'm not too much into product design, so I wouldn't know all the tools that are there. Field is wide. Okay, Akshay, as this field is wide, are you also taught 3D design softwares? So this is the one thing about design is you are free to explore what you want to specialize in. It's not that today I take up a course in visual design and I'm going to learn visual design throughout. The professors are going to teach the certain things. They are not going to teach tools at design schools. They never teach you tools. Also, they won't teach you anything digital. They want to use the traditional way of uh, doing things. Yeah, and also yeah, they will try to shape your thinking more than using these tools. How you think, that is what matters in design. Okay, I think this would be the last question from Sam Martin. What inspired you to take up design? uh, in my case, see, I've always been curious from my childhood at products or anything around me. I used to always pick them up, try to like break it down and try to fix it back. I also used to do a lot of illustrations, so I had interest in that as well. Then I also have an interest in observing things around me. So these are some of the things that made me to choose design as a field. Also, every day is a different experience in design. You have a new problem, you're trying to solve that problem, you try to come up with different solutions to it. So yeah, it's interesting. It's a field where there are no limits. Yeah, that's what I can say. Yeah, I think that would be the last question.
Adrian?
Yeah.
Adrian, thanks a lot for sparing your valuable time for this webinar. I give extend warm gratitude to you from the management of St. Joseph Engineering College, the Industry and Innovation Group, and the Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering. I also like to thank the management for providing us a platform to do this webinar on. I thank Mr. Satyendra Bhatt, the chairperson of Industry and Innovation Group, and Mr. Ragesh Raju for coordinating this event. I also thank Ms. Jacinta for the design she has done for this event. I thank all the participants for joining this webinar. Have a great weekend. This is Deepesh Kanchan signing off. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, before I just sign off, if anyone has any doubts, you can reach out to me at any time. I'm always there to help. You can also follow some of my works that I put up on Instagram, inkboy.in. Yeah. Thank you.